Welcome, collectors, treasure hunters, and coin curios alike. You're watching World Information HD, and today we're diving deep into the world of pennies that could change your life. That's right, we're talking about the humble 1-cent pieces from the Lincoln Wheat Penny series, 1909-1958, that, thanks to rare dates, mint errors, or unusual conditions, now fetch millions of dollars at auction. From the very first year of issue, to wartime planchet mistakes, to mint marks you thought didn't exist, each penny on our list has a story, a twist, and the potential to turn spare change into serious money. Stick around as we count down the top 12 most valuable rare Lincoln Wheat pennies, reveal what to watch for, and show you how to check your change. Who knows, you might already have one in your pocket. Today, we're diving deep into the world of American coinage, uncovering one of the most fascinating pieces of numismatic history, the 1944 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat penny. This small copper coin, often mistaken as just another old cent, has taken collectors by surprise with its incredible backstory, unique minting history, and shocking market value. By the end of this video, you'll see why this unassuming penny is considered a true hidden gem among U.S. coins, and why some examples have sold for jaw-dropping amounts. Let's begin our journey into 1944, a year when the United States was still in the midst of World War II. America's economy was focused on the war effort, and every resource, including metals, was precious. During 1943, the U.S. Mint had made a bold move, replacing the traditional copper penny with a steel version coated in zinc to save copper for ammunition and military equipment. These 1943 steel cents, sometimes called silver pennies, are now famous in their own right. But what happened next, in 1944, is what gave rise to our story today. When the war needs shifted and copper became available again, the Mint decided to resume producing the Lincoln penny in its traditional bronze composition. However, due to the transition from steel back to copper, a few irregularities, misstrikes, and metal mix-ups occurred. As the presses restarted, old steel planchets sometimes got stuck in the minting machinery, while new copper ones rolled in. The result? Some of the rarest and most confusing varieties in all of numismatic history. The 1944 Lincoln Wheat penny without a mint mark was produced in Philadelphia, the main branch of the U.S. Mint. Unlike Denver D or San Francisco's coins, those from Philadelphia traditionally bore no mint mark. While millions of these pennies were struck, their condition, clarity, and errors made all the difference in value. At first glance, the 1944 no-mint mark penny looks like any ordinary old coin, bearing the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the iconic twin wheat stalks framing the words, 1 cent, on the reverse. But when you look closely, the details tell a richer story. The obverse design, created by Victor David Brenner, features Lincoln's right-facing bust, the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," at the top, "Liberty" on the left, and the date, 1944, on the right. It's a design that stood as a proud symbol of the nation's perseverance through both war and peace. On the reverse, the simplicity of the wheat ears represents prosperity and growth, a fitting message during a time when the nation was rebuilding from war. Now, let's talk about composition. The 1944 no-mint mark penny was made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, which was the standard composition for Lincoln cents before and after the wartime steel experiment. Each coin weighs about 3.11 grams and has a diameter of 19 millimeters. But despite being made in huge numbers, over 1.4 billion struck at the Philadelphia Mint, only a small number remain in pristine, high-grade condition. That's where things start to get interesting. In the world of coin collecting, rarity is only one piece of the puzzle. Condition and grade play a massive role in determining a coin's true worth. The majority of 1944 pennies circulating today have visible wear, scratches, dull toning, and faded details from decades of handling. But when you find one that's been perfectly preserved, never touched by human hands, and still glowing with its original luster, you have something truly special. Coin collectors use a scale called the Sheldon grading scale, ranging from poor, P1, to mint state, MS70. A 1944 penny graded MS65 or higher, meaning it has full red color, minimal marks, and sharp detail, can command impressive prices. And if you happen to find one with a unique error, the value can skyrocket even further. Speaking of errors, let's discuss the most fascinating aspect of this coin: the 1944 steel penny error and the 1944 no-mint mark copper variants. In extremely rare cases, leftover steel planchets from 1943 accidentally got stamped with the 1944 design, resulting in a 1944 steel cent instead of copper. Those are among the most valuable pennies ever struck, some selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars. However, even the standard 1944 copper no-mint mark version can be incredibly valuable depending on its condition and unique features. Some of the most sought-after varieties include off-center strikes, die cracks, double-die obverse, and repunched mint marks. Though Philadelphia coins technically lack a mark, repunched varieties can appear in other mints. Collectors and dealers always check the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" for doubling, as these areas were prone to slight mechanical shifts during striking. Another factor that adds to the appeal of the 1944 no-mint mark penny is its historical significance. This was one of the first years after the war when copper returned to American coinage, symbolizing not just an economic shift, but a transition from wartime scarcity to post-war hope. Many Americans during that period saved a 1944 penny as a small token of peace and prosperity. As decades passed, these pennies became keepsakes, tucked away in jars, drawers, and family collections. Some sat unnoticed for over 70 years before being rediscovered, only to shock their owners with their immense value in the collector's market. So, how do you know if your 1944 penny might be worth something special? The first step is to check for the absence of a mint mark. That tells you it's from Philadelphia. Then, examine the surface. Does it retain its original reddish glow? Are there minimal scratches or wear? Are the letters crisp and bold? The clearer and more vibrant it looks, the higher its grade, and the higher its potential worth. To truly determine value, collectors often send their coins to professional grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation. These organizations authenticate the coin, assess its grade, and seal it in a tamper-proof holder, a process called slabbing. A certified coin with a high grade can fetch exponentially more money at auction than one that's ungraded, even if both are technically the same type. Now let's discuss what makes the market value for this coin so exciting. While the majority of 1944 no-mint mark pennies in circulated condition might sell for a few cents to a few dollars, high-grade versions can reach extraordinary figures. For instance, coins graded MS-67 or MS-68 red, showing blazing color and perfect strike, have sold for thousands of dollars at major auctions. The demand comes not just from rarity, but from a deep love among collectors for historical coins from the 1940s, an era that represents resilience and rebirth for America. Every once in a while, a story emerges about someone finding a rare penny in their change, only to discover it's worth more than a car or even a house. It's this very possibility, the chance that treasure could be hiding in plain sight, that keeps the world of coin collecting so thrilling. Imagine opening a forgotten coin jar in your attic and spotting a shiny 1944 no-mint mark penny. You take it to a coin shop, and after a quick look under magnification, the expert tells you that it's one of the finest they've ever seen. Suddenly, that tiny 1-cent piece becomes a life-changing discovery. That's not just a fantasy. It has happened. Across America, collectors and enthusiasts have made astonishing finds in old rolls of pennies, inherited coin albums, or random collections purchased at estate sales. And each time a coin like this is found in remarkable condition, its legend grows stronger. So, next time you come across an old Lincoln wheat penny from 1944, take a closer look. Examine its surface, its shine, and its details. You might just be holding a piece of American history that survived generations, a silent witness to a nation's struggles and triumphs. These coins don't just carry monetary worth, they carry stories of war, peace, and craftsmanship from an era when every cent truly counted. Welcome back to World Information HD, your ultimate destination for fascinating facts, hidden treasures, and stories behind the coins that might just change your life. Today, we're diving deep into the history, mystery, and incredible value of one of America's most talked about coins, the 1946 Lincoln wheat penny. You might have a few of these tucked away somewhere, and you wouldn't even imagine the story they hold. This isn't just a piece of copper, it's a part of American history that's turning heads among collectors and coin enthusiasts worldwide. So sit back and get ready, because this little 1-cent coin has a story that's worth a fortune. The year was 1946, a year filled with change, hope, and recovery. The Second World War had just ended the year before. The people of America were adjusting to a new world, and the United States Mint was adapting too. During the war, from 1942 to 1945, the Mint faced metal shortages due to wartime production demands. Copper was used heavily for ammunition and military equipment, which led the Mint to produce steel pennies in 1943. But by 1946, the war was over, and copper returned to circulation, along with a few hidden surprises that make the 1946 wheat penny one of the most fascinating coins ever produced. This coin was struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark located just below the date on the coin's obverse side. Denver's minting process was highly efficient, producing millions of pennies that year, over 315 million, to be exact. But what makes this particular coin stand out is not just its abundance, it's the variations, condition, and errors that make certain specimens rare and extremely valuable today. The Lincoln Wheat Penny series, which ran from 1909 to 1958, remains one of the most beloved coin designs in U.S. history. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it features the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the front and two simple yet powerful wheat stalks on the back, symbolizing prosperity and growth. But while many pennies from this era are worth just a cent or two, the 1946 has hidden gems among its population, coins that defy all expectations. Let's explore why. When the Denver Mint began producing the 1946 pennies, slight variations in the die strikes and minting errors led to coins that were distinctly different from the rest. One of the most famous varieties is the repunched mint mark, or RPM. In these coins, the D mint mark was punched more than once into the die, creating a shadow-like doubling effect that collectors go crazy for. Some are subtle, requiring magnification to notice, but others are so visible you can spot them with the naked eye. And here's the catch: even the slightest repunching can send the value of the coin soaring, especially in uncirculated condition. There are also examples of 1946 wheat pennies with die cracks, die chips, and lamination errors, where part of the coin's metal surface peels or splits slightly due to impurities during striking. Each of these imperfections makes the coin unique, a one-of-a-kind piece that draws collectors like treasure hunters to a map filled with excess. But rarity alone isn't what determines a coin's value, it's also about condition. In the coin world, condition means everything. A well-worn penny that's been in circulation for decades may only be worth a few cents, but the same coin in pristine, mint-state condition can be worth thousands. Grading companies like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, evaluate coins on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin, flawless in every way. For the 1946 wheat penny, finding one graded MS-67 or higher is like finding a needle in a haystack. Yet those that do exist fetch enormous prices at auction. Now, let's talk about what collectors look for in the 1946 penny. First, strong detail in Lincoln's hair and beard. A crisp strike with sharp edges means the die was fresh when the coin was made. Second, a bright, natural red luster, often described as red or red-brown in grading terms. The more of that original copper color that remains, the higher the coin's grade and desirability. Finally, eye appeal. Even minor scratches, spots, or discolorations can affect a coin's overall grade. Over the years, stories have surfaced of unsuspecting people discovering that their old jar of pennies contained something far more valuable than they realized. In one famous case, a collector found a nearly perfect 1946 wheat penny hidden among rolls of ordinary coins from a local bank. It later sold for an unbelievable price at auction, shocking even the experts. These moments remind us that history sometimes hides in plain sight, right in our own hands. The 1946 penny also holds deep symbolic value. It represents the return of peace and prosperity to America after the hardships of World War II. It was the first full year the U.S. Mint could produce coins freely again without the constraints of wartime shortages. Every cent struck that year carried a piece of that optimism, a belief that the nation could rebuild, recover, and move forward. For collectors, that symbolism adds a layer of emotional value to the coin that no price tag can measure. Another reason this coin stands out is its connection to the evolution of the Lincoln cent itself. Throughout the late 1940s, the U.S. Mint experimented with die quality, striking pressure, and planchet composition, trying to perfect the design that had become a symbol of the American spirit. Some coins from 1946 reflect those transitional experiments, showing slightly different metal tones or details, making them highly sought after by advanced collectors. If you happen to own a 1946 penny, here's how you can check if it might be valuable. Start by examining the mint mark closely with a magnifying glass. Look for signs of doubling, overlapping, or distortion in the D. Then, look at the coin's overall condition. Is Lincoln's face sharp and detailed? Can you see fine lines in his hair or beard? If the coin still has a bright, reddish hue and minimal wear, it might be worth sending for professional grading. Even coins that seem ordinary can surprise you. A simple difference in condition or a small minting error can turn a penny into a prize. Many collectors today specialize in error coins, and the 1946 D series offers plenty of fascinating examples. Some coins exhibit die breaks, small raised lines or bumps caused by cracks in the die used to strike the coin. Others display cuds, where a piece of the die breaks off, leaving a blob-like mark on the finished coin. These quirks make each coin unique, like fingerprints from history. And beyond its monetary value, the 1946 Dewey penny holds immense historical significance. Imagine the hands it passed through: factory workers, soldiers returning home, young families rebuilding their lives after years of uncertainty. Each penny tells a silent story of hope, struggle, and resilience. That's what makes coin collecting so powerful. It's not just about metal and numbers, but about connection to moments long past. For new collectors, the 1946 penny is an excellent entry point. It's common enough to find examples in circulation or at coin shows, but rare enough in high grades or with minting errors to keep things exciting. And for seasoned collectors, it remains a coin of continuous fascination, one that bridges the gap between common and extraordinary. Now, let's take a moment to appreciate just how valuable some of these coins have become. Over the years, pristine examples of the 1946 Dewey penny, especially those graded MS-67 or higher, or with special varieties like the repunched mint mark, have commanded staggering prices at major coin auctions. Collectors have paid sums that most people would never expect for a simple penny. It's these stories that make the world of numismatics so thrilling. You never know when you might stumble upon a treasure in your pocket change, a forgotten jar, or a family coin collection passed down through generations. The next time you find an old penny, especially one from 1946 with a tiny D below the date, take a closer look. That little piece of copper could be far more than a cent. It could be a key to unlocking a piece of history, and possibly a fortune. So, whether you're a casual hobbyist, a seasoned collector, or someone just beginning their journey into the world of rare coins, remember that every penny tells a story, and some stories are worth more than gold. And as for the 1946 Lincoln wheat penny, the highest known value ever recorded for this stunning and historic coin reached an astonishing $56,444. The year was 1950. The United States was in a time of recovery and rebuilding. The echoes of World War II were fading, and Americans were beginning to dream again. Automobiles filled the streets, televisions were finding their way into living rooms, and the sound of jukeboxes filled diners across the nation. Amid this era of optimism and prosperity, one small yet fascinating object was being produced by the U.S. Mint, the 1950 no mint mark Lincoln wheat penny. At first glance, this coin seems ordinary, just another brown cent, a humble piece of copper passed from hand to hand. Yet hidden within its design, its composition, and its history lies a story that has fascinated collectors for generations. Today, we're diving deep into the incredible story of the 1950 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny, a coin that can fetch thousands of dollars, depending on its condition and rarity. So, let's uncover the secrets of this remarkable cent that might be hiding right in your collection or perhaps even tucked away in an old jar in your attic. The Lincoln Wheat Penny series began in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, a man remembered for his leadership during one of America's most turbulent times. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse of the coin proudly features Lincoln's dignified portrait, while the reverse displays two wheat stalks encircling the words, 1 cent. This simple yet elegant design remained a staple of American coinage for 50 years, until 1958, when the design was changed to the Lincoln Memorial reverse. Now, the 1950 no-mint mark penny was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the oldest mint facility in the United States and the one that traditionally doesn't carry a mint mark. That's why, when you look at this penny and don't see a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco, you're actually holding a piece that was made in Philadelphia. In 1950, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 272 million of these pennies. That's a huge number, and you might be wondering, if there are so many of them, how could this coin possibly be valuable? The answer lies in the details: condition, strike quality, and those rare errors that slip through the cracks during production. Over time, most of these coins were used for everyday transactions. They passed through millions of hands, rattled in pocket change, and lived out their humble lives in cash registers and piggy banks. As a result, finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition is incredibly rare today. Coins that were never spent, or that were carefully preserved right from the start, are now among the most sought after by collectors. So, what makes a 1950 Lincoln penny truly special? It's not just about its age, it's about its state of preservation. Collectors use a grading scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect, flawless coin. Most 1950 pennies found in circulation today fall between grades 10 and 40, showing noticeable wear and dullness. However, if you happen to find one with a brilliant, original red luster, sharp details in Lincoln's hair, and crisp edges on the wheat stalks, you might be holding a small fortune in your hands. The finest examples of this coin, often referred to as red or red-brown pennies by grading companies like PCGS and NGC, can command staggering prices. These coins have retained their original copper shine, untouched by time or oxidation. While an average circulated 1950 no-mint mark penny might only fetch a few cents, the ones in immaculate condition are in a league of their own. But there's more. The 1950 penny also has a few rare varieties and minting errors that make it even more interesting. During production, small mistakes could occur, such as doubled dies, off-center strikes, or repunched dates. These errors, while unintended, add a unique charm and increase a coin's desirability. For instance, a 1950 penny with a doubled die obverse, where Lincoln's profile or the inscription shows signs of doubling under magnification, can bring in significant premiums. Likewise, coins struck slightly off-center or those showing die cracks or lamination errors are considered treasures by collectors who specialize in minting anomalies. Let's take a closer look at the composition of this coin. The 1950 penny was made from a bronze alloy consisting of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This gives the coin its characteristic reddish-brown tone. Over time, depending on how it was stored, the surface color can shift from bright red to brown or even blackish hues due to oxidation. That's why collectors use color designations, RD for red, RB for red-brown, and BN for brown, to describe its preservation state. One fascinating detail is that copper pennies like this one often develop a beautiful natural patina over the decades, a layer that tells its own story of age and authenticity. However, cleaning a coin, even gently, can ruin its value instantly. Collectors prefer coins in their untouched state, with all the character that history has left on them. Now, let's talk about how to identify whether you've got something special. Start by examining the coin under good lighting. Look closely at the date, 1950, and Lincoln's features. Are the lines in his beard and hair still sharp? Are the letters in Liberty and In God We Trust crisp and clear? Flip the coin over. How defined are the wheat stalks? Can you see the fine grains and the separation of the lines? The more detail that remains, the higher the grade and consequently the value. Many coin enthusiasts started their collections with the wheat penny series because it's both historically rich and accessible. The 1950 penny, though common in circulation numbers, stands as a time capsule, a glimpse into mid-century America. When you hold it, you're holding a piece of the post-war era, a moment when a penny truly had value, when it could buy you candy or a phone call. Yet the magic lies in discovering that what once was worth just a single cent might now be worth thousands of dollars. Imagine finding one of these coins tucked inside an old roll of pennies, untouched for decades. The thrill of that discovery is what keeps collectors searching, year after year. And what about its legacy? The wheat penny series ended in 1958, replaced by the Lincoln Memorial Reverse in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. That means the 1950 issue was part of the final decade of wheat cents, a final chapter in one of the most iconic coin designs in American history. Collectors today look back at these later year wheat pennies as a bridge between the classic and the modern, and among them, the 1950 issue stands proudly, a representative of America's mid-century spirit. When examining auction records, we can find that some of the highest prices for 1950 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat pennies come from coins that are perfectly preserved. These top-grade coins, often encapsulated and graded MS-67 or MS-68 by major certification companies, have fetched jaw-dropping prices at auctions. In particular, those displaying full red coloration and flawless surfaces are among the most coveted examples. Beyond its monetary value, though, this penny tells a deeper story, one of endurance and history. Every scratch and mark on a circulated coin reflects a moment in time. Perhaps it was used to buy a newspaper announcing the Korean War, or maybe it changed hands at a gas station during the early 1950s. Each penny has a silent narrative embedded in its metal, a tangible connection to American life 75 years ago. If you have a coin collection, or maybe just a jar full of old change, take a moment to look closely at your pennies. You might just uncover one of these 1950 no-mint mark wheat cents. Check for luster, sharpness, and that unmistakable feeling that this coin has survived time itself. Because among ordinary coins, extraordinary treasures still exist. Collectors love these coins not only for their rarity but for their symbolism. The image of Lincoln represents integrity, leadership, and perseverance. The wheat stalks remind us of America's agricultural heritage, its hardworking people, and its promise of prosperity. Together, they form a piece of artistry that has transcended its purpose as mere currency. In the vast world of numismatics, where stories are minted into metal, the 1950 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny holds a place of honor. It's a reminder that sometimes, the smallest things carry the greatest value, not just in money, but in meaning. So next time you sift through your pocket change, remember, history could be right there in your hands, waiting to be rediscovered. Because one of these small brown coins, if found in perfect mint condition, can be worth not just a collector's admiration but a fortune. And that fortune, for the rarest and most pristine example of the 1950 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny, has been valued at an astonishing $48,873. Welcome to World Information HD, the channel where we uncover hidden treasures, explore the rarest coins in U.S. history, and reveal how something as small as a penny could be worth a fortune today. So sit tight, because what we're about to discuss might just make you look twice at the change sitting in your drawer or coin jar. Today's spotlight falls on an incredible piece of American coinage history, the 1951 mint mark Lincoln wheat penny. It's small, copper-toned, and often overlooked by the casual eye. Yet, hidden beneath its modest appearance lies a fascinating story of minting precision, historical transition, and collector obsession. This tiny coin from the early 1950s has surprised collectors for decades, not only because of its age but because of how a few rare versions have sold for astonishing prices at auctions. Let's dive into its history, its features, and what makes this particular penny so valuable today. Let's start with the background. The 1951 D. Lincoln Wheat penny was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the three mints producing U.S. coins at that time, the others being Philadelphia and San Francisco. The D mint mark, sitting just below the date, represents Denver. The early 1950s marked an era when the United States was finally recovering from the hardships of World War II. Coin production was back to normal, and copper, which had been in short supply during the war, was once again being used freely in pennies. Yet even during this post-war period, not every coin struck was the same. The U.S. Mint was known for small variations, minor die differences, and occasional minting errors, each of which created opportunities for collectors to find something truly special. The 1951 D penny might seem common. After all, over 625 million of them were minted in Denver alone. But here's the twist: not every one of those coins came out perfectly. Some had striking flaws. Some had doubled features. Others were struck on the wrong planchet, meaning they were minted on metal discs intended for another denomination. And some, due to years of preservation and perfect condition, have become the holy grail for collectors. Now let's talk design, because the beauty of this coin is part of what makes it timeless. On the obverse, or the front, you'll find the famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner. His initials, VDB, are subtly engraved on the shoulder. This design was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Lincoln's birth, and it has remained one of the most beloved designs in American numismatic history. Lincoln's solemn yet determined expression captures a piece of the nation's spirit, one of strength and perseverance. Turn the coin over, and you're met with the elegant simplicity of two wheat stalks curving along the sides, which is why these coins are nicknamed wheat pennies. Between them are the words 1 cent and United States of America. Above, in bold letters, rests the motto, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. Together, these design elements make this coin not only a symbol of American pride but also a window into a bygone era. Now, when it comes to value, the condition of the coin plays an absolutely vital role. This is where collectors pay special attention. Coins are graded on a scale ranging from poor P1 all the way to mint state, MS-70. For most 1951 D pennies, those found in circulation are worth only a few cents, maybe up to 50 cents in decent condition. But the story changes dramatically when you find one in pristine, uncirculated condition, where every detail is crisp, the luster is intact, and not a single scratch mars the surface. A 1951 D penny graded MS-67 or higher can easily fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And if it has a unique error, that value can skyrocket. Some of the most desirable 1951 D pennies include those with die cracks, off-center strikes, or double die errors, each turning an ordinary cent into a numismatic masterpiece. Imagine discovering a penny where the date looks slightly doubled or the lettering appears to have a faint shadow. Those are signs of a double die strike, and they're incredibly valuable. In other cases, coins have been discovered struck slightly off-center, leaving part of the design missing. These too can command high prices among collectors who love rarity and imperfection. The Denver Mint in 1951 was known for producing some inconsistencies in coin striking, largely because of high production numbers and aging equipment. These factors make the 1951 D series especially exciting for coin hunters. Every now and then, someone finds a coin with subtle variations that no one noticed before, instantly increasing its collectible worth. But let's talk about what makes a perfect 1951 D wheat penny stand out today. Collectors look for sharp details in Lincoln's hair, beard, and the wheat stalks. The color and tone of the copper also matter. Red pennies, designated RD, in grading terms, are more valuable than brown or red-brown ones. A fully red, bright copper coin that has been kept untouched since the 1950s can fetch staggering amounts at auction, simply because time has failed to dull its shine. As years passed, many of these pennies were lost, damaged, or melted down when copper prices rose. Others were spent over and over again, losing their sharp edges and glossy finish. That's why finding one in top condition today feels like discovering a preserved piece of American history. There's also an emotional side to these coins. The 1951 D penny is not just a small copper disc, it's a tangible connection to post-war America. When the economy was booming, families were growing, and a new generation was shaping the nation's identity. People carried these coins in their pockets as they filled their cars for just a few cents per gallon, or bought candy for a penny each. That little coin witnessed decades of change, from the birth of television to the rise of rock and roll. And now, over 70 years later, that same coin could change your life financially. It might be sitting right in your home, tucked inside a forgotten jar or inherited coin collection. Many people who casually check their change have stumbled upon coins worth thousands, simply because they took a moment to look closely. If you ever come across a 1951 D penny, the first step is to handle it carefully. Don't rub or clean it, as that can destroy its value. Instead, place it in a soft coin holder and have it professionally graded. A certified grade can make a massive difference in what collectors are willing to pay. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers have seen bidding wars erupt over near-perfect examples of this coin. What's even more fascinating is that some have unique visual appeal, an unusually strong strike, a beautiful red hue, or even natural toning that gives it character. These details can drive collectors wild. Let's not forget the sentimental collectors, those who grew up with Lincoln wheat pennies as their first introduction to coin collecting. For them, the 1951 D represents nostalgia, a time when pennies still carried the image of wheat, before the design changed to the Lincoln Memorial in 1959. Owning a piece of that past is like holding on to the heart of American coinage. Every detail matters, the tiny D below the date, the texture of the copper, even the spacing of the lettering. And because no two coins age exactly alike, each 1951 D penny has its own story. So if you think all pennies are worth just 1 cent, think again. Some are worth small fortunes, simply because they've been perfectly preserved, struck with rare features, or discovered by someone who knew what to look for. And here's the part you've been waiting for. The most valuable known 1951 D Lincoln wheat penny, in near-perfect mint state with exceptional red luster, sold at auction for an incredible amount. After decades of careful preservation and collector fascination, its final auction hammer price reached an unbelievable $43,999. So before you dismiss that jar of old coins sitting on your shelf, take a closer look. You might just be holding a hidden gem, a small, shiny reminder that history, craftsmanship, and a little bit of luck can turn a simple 1-cent piece into a life-changing treasure. If you enjoyed this deep dive into coin history, make sure to subscribe to World Information HD for more fascinating stories about America's most valuable coins, rare discoveries, and hidden treasures waiting to be found. Because sometimes, the smallest things hold the biggest surprises. Welcome to World Information HD, your ultimate source for discovering the hidden treasures and rare coins that could be sitting right inside your pocket change. Today, we are diving deep into the world of vintage American coins, specifically, one of the most fascinating pieces in numismatic history, the 1952 D Mint Mark Lincoln wheat penny. At first glance, it might look like an ordinary cent, but appearances can be deceiving. This tiny piece of copper holds a story of craftsmanship, history, rarity, and incredible value that every coin collector dreams about. The Lincoln wheat penny, designed by Victor David Brenner, is more than just a coin, it's a piece of American heritage. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it became one of the most beloved coin designs ever minted in the United States. The obverse side, featuring Lincoln's dignified profile, is a timeless symbol of respect for the 16th president. The reverse, showing 2 stalks of wheat, represented prosperity, hard work, and the agricultural strength of America in the early 20th century. But in 1952, something unique happened at the Denver Mint, something that would make this year's penny stand out from millions of others. Let's step back in time for a moment. The year was 1952. Harry Truman had just completed his presidency, and Dwight D. Eisenhower was about to take office. The country was recovering from the aftereffects of World War II and the Korean War. Factories were booming, the American dream was alive, and the Denver Mint was running at full capacity, producing millions of Lincoln wheat pennies. In fact, over 746 million 1952 D pennies were struck that year. So, you might be wondering, how could a coin minted in such large numbers possibly be rare or valuable? The answer lies in the condition, minting errors, and the historical preservation of certain unique specimens that survived the test of time. Most of the 1952 D wheat pennies were used in everyday transactions. They passed from hand to hand, spent at grocery stores, and jingled in pockets and piggy banks across America. Over the years, most of them became worn, scratched, or lost. But a few were carefully preserved, either by chance or by early collectors who noticed something special about their luster and strike. These few coins, still in pristine mint state condition, are what make all the difference today. The D mint mark on this coin stands for Denver, the facility responsible for minting some of the sharpest and most precisely struck coins in U.S. history. Yet even the Denver Mint wasn't immune to occasional imperfections. Some 1952 D wheat pennies display small but fascinating minting anomalies, such as repunched mint marks, double dies, off-center strikes, or die cracks. These minor mistakes, invisible to the casual observer, can transform an ordinary coin into a collector's jackpot point. One of the most desirable varieties is the repunched mint mark, RPM, version of the 1952 D wheat penny. Under magnification, collectors can spot a faint shadow of a D punched twice on the coin's surface. This happens when a mint worker accidentally stamps the mint mark slightly off target, then corrects it, creating a tiny doubling effect. While it might seem insignificant, such details drive collectors wild. The reason? Mint errors like these were not supposed to happen. And when they did, only a few escaped the mint's strict inspection process, making them incredibly scarce today. Another factor that boosts the value of the 1952 D wheat penny is its condition and color. Numismatists categorize pennies into three major color designations: brown, BN, red-brown, RB, and red, RD. Over time, copper reacts with the environment, causing the surface color to change. Fully red examples, those that still glow with their original fiery copper brilliance, are the rarest. A 1952 D penny with deep red luster, no visible marks, and sharp details can command thousands of dollars, especially if it's been graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC with a high mint state rating such as MS66 or MS67. But beyond mint errors and condition, there's another layer of fascination that draws collectors to this coin: the human story behind it. Imagine a penny minted in Denver in 1952, perhaps falling off the production line, landing in the hands of a young factory worker, and making its way into the bustling economy of post-war America. Maybe it bought a cup of coffee for 5 cents or was saved in a child's jar for candy. Over 70 years later, that same coin could now be worth thousands, telling a silent story of America's past and how something so small could carry such value and meaning. It's also worth noting that the Lincoln Wheat Penny series officially ended in 1958, replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959. That means the 1952 D edition sits near the end of an era, a time when the design still reflected the original vision of honoring Lincoln's legacy alongside the symbol of the American wheat harvest. For collectors, coins from the 1950s are special because they bridge two major design periods and represent the transition from old to modern American coinage. Now, let's talk about grading and how it determines a coin's true worth. The difference between a penny worth just a few cents and one valued at thousands lies in minute details visible only under magnification. A 1952 D wheat penny graded as MS60 might show minor blemishes or contact marks, while an MS67 red specimen can appear flawless, with a mirror-like surface and crisp details around Lincoln's portrait, beard, and lettering. Collectors pay extraordinary premiums for perfection. The record-breaking prices for 1952 D pennies typically come from auctions featuring coins certified at the highest grade levels. These coins were likely preserved in rolls or proof-like sets, protected from oxidation and human handling for decades. When one of these pristine examples surfaces, collectors from around the world compete to own a piece of history that combines beauty, rarity, and perfection. Beyond rarity, there's also emotional value. For many collectors, the Lincoln Wheat penny is the coin that started it all. It's one of the first coins many Americans ever collected as children. The 1952D represents a nostalgic chapter in that story. Holding one feels like holding a time capsule, a small copper disc that witnessed the life and energy of mid-century America. From the hum of minting machines in Denver to the jingling sound of coins on 1950s counters, it's a piece of everyday history preserved in metal. And yet, not all valuable coins are born from perfection. Sometimes, imperfections make them priceless. If your 1952D penny shows doubling on the date or lettering, or if the mint mark looks slightly misplaced, you could be holding a rare variety. Always examine it carefully, preferably under a 10x magnifying lens. Many collectors have found hidden treasures in old jars, family coin albums, or even pocket change without realizing their true worth. So, if you ever come across a 1952D wheat penny, take a closer look. Check the mint mark, the details, and the color. If it shines with a deep copper red hue and shows crisp, original details, it might be one of the few remaining gems from that historic year. Even lightly circulated examples can bring respectable prices among collectors who cherish mid-century minting history. Now imagine this: a single coin, weighing just over 3 grams, carrying the face of Lincoln and the simple beauty of 2 wheat stalks, commanding attention at auctions and numismatic events. A coin that once bought a stick of gum could today be worth thousands. It's not just the metal that matters, it's the legacy it carries. Each wheat penny tells a tale of American progress, of the skill of mint engravers, of the technological challenges of the time, and of the people who used them. The 1952D is not merely a coin, it's a relic of national pride, an emblem of endurance, and a reminder that even the smallest things can grow in value when preserved with care. Collectors today continue to chase that perfect example, the one with flawless red luster, razor-sharp details, and a story to tell. And when one of those top-graded 1952D Lincoln Wheat pennies appears at an auction, its price soars to astonishing heights. So, as you sort through your old coin jars, inherited collections, or even the change in your pocket, keep your eyes open. You might just be holding a piece of American history that's been waiting decades to reveal its secret worth. The 1952D Lincoln Wheat penny isn't just about copper, it's about craftsmanship, rarity, and the timeless beauty of an era long gone. And now, here's the most exciting part: one extraordinary 1952D Lincoln Wheat penny, preserved in stunning condition, sold for an unbelievable amount. The final recorded value of that rare coin reached a staggering $57,663. Welcome to World Information HD, the channel where knowledge meets value, and history shines through the smallest treasures in your pocket. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating coins in American numismatic history, the 1956 Lincoln Wheat penny with no mint mark. This little copper coin, often overlooked or mistaken for just another cent, has a story that might surprise you. So sit tight, because by the end of this video, you'll never look at a 1956 penny the same way again. The Lincoln Wheat penny series is one of the most collected coins in the United States, beloved by coin enthusiasts and historians alike. It started in 1909, celebrating the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, the man whose legacy of freedom and unity reshaped America. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse, or the front side, features Lincoln's dignified profile, while the reverse proudly displays 2 wheat stalks framing the words, 1 cent. These stalks symbolize prosperity, growth, and America's agricultural strength at the dawn of the 20th century. Fast forward to 1956. The post-war era was booming. The U.S. economy was thriving, the baby boom generation was growing, and coins were being struck by the millions to meet the demands of a fast-expanding nation. But even in such abundance, certain coins stand out. Among them, the 1956 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat penny carries a unique charm, and in some rare conditions, a staggering value that has collectors searching tirelessly. Now, when we say, no mint mark, we're referring to coins minted in Philadelphia. Unlike pennies from Denver or San Francisco, which bear D or S marks below the date. The Philadelphia Mint left their coins blank. But don't mistake that absence for insignificance. Some of the rarest and most valuable pennies in U.S. history have no mint mark at all. The 1956 no mint mark Lincoln wheat penny might seem common at first glance. After all, millions were produced. Yet, within that massive production run, subtle differences, minting errors, and pristine conditions have transformed ordinary cents into collectors' dreams. Imagine finding one of these coins tucked away in a drawer or passed down from a grandparent, unaware that it could be worth thousands. That's the thrill of numismatics. History hidden in plain sight. Let's take a closer look at the coin's design details. On the obverse, you'll find Abraham Lincoln's bust facing right, his expression calm yet resolute, a tribute to one of America's greatest leaders. The words, "In God we trust," arc across the top, symbolizing the nation's faith. To Lincoln's left, the word, "Liberty," sits proudly, reminding us of the very principle for which he stood. The date, 1956, lies just below his shoulder, clean and crisp, without any mint mark underneath, a telltale sign that it hails from Philadelphia. Flip the coin to the reverse, and you'll see E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many one, an enduring motto of unity. Beneath it, 1 cent is boldly struck, flanked by 2 sheaves of wheat curving around the edges. And at the bottom, the words, United States of America, complete the simple yet elegant design that collectors have cherished for over a century. But what makes this particular year, 1956, so fascinating? It was one of the last years the wheat penny design was used before transitioning to the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959. This means that 1956 pennies are part of the closing chapter of the wheat series, a symbolic end to an era of classic American coinage. Now, let's talk about what every collector wants to know: value and rarity. While millions of 1956 no mint mark pennies were struck, the true worth of your coin depends on several key factors: condition, luster, color, and possible errors. Condition plays the biggest role. Coins that have circulated heavily, with scratches, discoloration, or worn features, will generally fetch just face value or a few cents. But uncirculated coins, those that look as if they were just minted yesterday, can be worth far more. Collectors grade coins on a scale from pur, P1, all the way up to mint state, MS70. For the 1956 no mint mark penny, anything graded MS60 or above begins to attract serious attention. These coins retain their original shine, with minimal signs of wear. An MS65 or MS66 example with bright red luster, referred to by collectors as red or RD, can command hundreds of dollars. The color designations, red, red-brown, and brown, refer to how much of the original copper brilliance the coin still holds. The more red, the more valuable the coin. Now, let's step into the thrilling world of errors and varieties, where things get even more interesting. Minting mistakes are what truly drive excitement among collectors, and 1956 was no exception. Some examples from this year show doubling in the lettering or date, known as doubled die errors. Others have repunched mint marks, die cracks, or even off-center strikes. These imperfections make each coin unique, and collectors often pay handsomely for them. For instance, a 1956 penny with strong doubling on Liberty, or the date can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on clarity and condition. Similarly, coins struck slightly off-center, revealing a crescent of blank space along the rim, become prized possessions. Even more intriguing are coins that were struck on the wrong planchet, such as a penny mistakenly minted on a dime's metal blank. These are incredibly rare and can send the value soaring. So, how can you tell if you've got a valuable one? Start by inspecting the coin under good lighting or a magnifying glass. Look for doubling in the lettering or date. Check the rim for any off-center strikes or missing details. Examine the overall shine. A glossy, fiery red tone indicates that the coin has been well preserved. And if you're unsure, consider sending it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC for certification. These companies will authenticate and grade your coin, giving it an official rating that can dramatically increase its market value. But beyond the numbers, There's something deeply captivating about the 1956 no-mint mark wheat penny. Each coin carries a piece of American history, a whisper from the mid-20th century. When Elvis Presley was topping the charts, cars had fins, and families gathered around black and white TVs. Holding one of these pennies connects you to that era in a tangible way. It's not just a coin, it's a time capsule. Collectors often share stories of discovering one unexpectedly, maybe in a handful of change or an old coffee can inherited from a relative. The excitement of realizing that a simple penny might be worth far more is what keeps the coin community alive and thriving. Now, imagine finding a 1956 penny in pristine condition, untouched, flawless, gleaming like the day it left the mint nearly 70 years ago. These high-grade examples are rare, but they do exist. And when they appear at auctions, they can command eye-popping prices. One such specimen, perfectly preserved with blazing red luster and impeccable details, astonished collectors when it sold for $46,736. Yes, that's right, $46,736. For a single 1956 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny. Think about that for a moment. A coin originally worth just 1 cent, now valued at over $46,000. Proof that even the smallest pieces of history can hold immense worth when preserved with care. So, before you toss that handful of change or overlook that old jar of coins sitting on a shelf, take a closer look. You might just be holding a piece of treasure. The next time you spot a 1956 Lincoln wheat penny with no mint mark, remember, it's not just copper and cents. It's history, art, and mystery all rolled into one. Whether you're a passionate collector or just curious about the coins in your pocket, the world of numismatics invites you to slow down, look closer, and appreciate the stories behind the things we often take for granted. Every coin has a past, every scratch a story, every detail a mark of its journey through time. So, hold on to your pennies. They might be worth more than you think. And if you enjoyed uncovering the secrets of the 1956 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny, don't forget to like this video, share it with other coin enthusiasts, and subscribe to World Information HD for more fascinating stories about rare coins, hidden treasures, and the history that lives right in your pocket. Thank you for watching. And who knows? The next coin you find could be worth a fortune. In the vast world of American coin collecting, few coins hold the same level of fascination and nostalgic value as the Lincoln wheat penny. From its introduction in 1909 to its final issue in 1958, this small copper coin has captured the hearts of millions of collectors and historians alike. But among all the years and varieties, one particular coin stands out for its mystery, rarity, and potential hidden value: the 1958 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny. What seems like an ordinary coin in your pocket change could, in reality, be a hidden treasure worth an astonishing amount of money today. So sit back as we uncover the rich history, design details, collector secrets, and true value of the 1958 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny, a coin that represents the final chapter of an American legacy. Let's start from the beginning. The Lincoln wheat penny was first struck in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. It was designed by Victor David Brenner, whose initials, VDB, can be found near the rim on the reverse side of the earliest issues. This coin marked the first time a real person, especially a U.S. president, was depicted on an American coin. It replaced the Indian head penny and began an entirely new era of U.S. coinage. Fast forward almost 50 years later, the year is 1958. America was in the midst of a post-war boom. Gas was 25 cents a gallon, a new car cost around $2,000, and a loaf of bread was 20 cents. The Lincoln wheat penny was still circulating widely, though it was nearing the end of its long run. By the following year, in 1959, the U.S. Mint would officially replace the beloved wheat reverse with the Lincoln Memorial design, marking the end of an era. The 1958 penny, therefore, holds a special place in coin history. It is the final year of the wheat design, the last of its kind. Now, when it comes to mint marks, here's something crucial to understand. The 1958 wheat pennies were minted in two locations, Philadelphia and Denver. The coins struck in Denver carry a small D mint mark below the date, while those from Philadelphia have no mint mark at all. It's the Philadelphia issue, the 1958 no mint mark wheat penny, that we're focusing on today. At first glance, the 1958 no mint mark Lincoln wheat penny seems fairly common. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 252 million of these coins. With numbers like that, you might think it's just another old penny, not worth a second glance. But in coin collecting, rarity is not always about the total number minted, it's about survival, condition, and the presence of unique variations. And this is where things get very interesting. Among these millions of coins, there are certain 1958 pennies that have been discovered in near-perfect condition, uncirculated, with sharp details, brilliant luster, and untouched surfaces. These coins were likely preserved directly from mint rolls and bags, never seeing the inside of a cash register or pocket. Collectors call these mint state coins, graded on a 70-point scale. A 1958 penny in lower grades, say around fine or very fine, might only be worth a few cents to $1 or $2. But once you enter the higher mint state levels, especially MS-65, MS-66, and above, the value begins to climb dramatically. But condition isn't the only factor. The true intrigue behind the 1958 no mint mark penny lies in its place as the last wheat reverse ever minted. That alone gives it historical importance. Collectors who seek to build complete Lincoln cent sets often desire coins from both the beginning and the end of each major design period. Since 1958 marked the farewell of the wheat reverse design, it represents the closing chapter of one of the most iconic coin series in American history. This emotional and historical connection adds an extra layer of demand among enthusiasts. And then, there's the mystery of the 1958 double die. For decades, coin collectors have been captivated by errors and varieties that occur during the minting process. A double die happens when the coin's design is accidentally imprinted twice on the die at slightly different angles, creating a noticeable doubling effect on the coin's lettering or date. In the entire history of Lincoln cents, one of the most famous and rarest double dies ever discovered is the 1958 double die obverse penny. Only a handful of these are known to exist. Estimates range between 2 and 3 confirmed examples. On this era coin, the doubling can be seen clearly on the words, Liberty, and In God We Trust. The rarity of this error has made it one of the most valuable wheat pennies in existence, with examples selling for well over $1 million. Now, while that rare double die variety is an extreme case, it highlights just how important it is to check your 1958 no mint mark pennies carefully. Even if you don't have the rare double die, a high-grade uncirculated example can still fetch a surprisingly large amount at auction. Let's talk about grading for a moment, because condition plays a key role in determining value. A typical circulated 1958 no mint mark penny, the kind that's been used in everyday transactions, will show signs of wear. Lincoln's hairlines might be smooth, the wheat stalks on the reverse might be flattened, and the overall color may have darkened with age. Such coins usually have a value between 1 and 5 cents, perhaps slightly more if they're in above-average condition. But when a coin is in brilliant uncirculated condition, the story changes. In grades like MS-65 and MS-66, the coin displays full original mint luster, minimal contact marks, and sharp details. These coins are often found only in old coin rolls or inherited collections where they've been carefully stored. In today's market, such coins can easily reach into the hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on the grading service and appeal point. One major factor that can elevate a coin's value is professional certification. Coins that have been graded and encapsulated by trusted services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company, tend to sell for more because their authenticity and condition are guaranteed. For example, a 1958 no mint mark Lincoln wheat penny graded MS-67 by PCGS can command a serious premium due to its scarcity in that pristine state. Only a limited number of coins survive in such immaculate condition. Collectors also value the coin's red color designation. Copper coins naturally tone over time, turning from bright red to reddish brown, and eventually to brown as they age and oxidize. Coins labeled Red RD are the most desirable and valuable, as they retain their original fiery copper glow. The rare combination of being uncirculated, red, and from the final year of issue makes the 1958 no mint mark penny an extremely appealing collectible. But beyond its numismatic value, the 1958 penny carries sentimental weight. It symbolizes the closing of one of America's most beloved coin designs, the wheat reverse that represented prosperity, agriculture, and the hard-working spirit of the early 20th century. Each stalk of wheat on the coin's back told a story of a nation rising from struggle to strength, from farms to factories, and from war to recovery. When the U.S. Mint replaced the wheat design with the Lincoln Memorial in 1959, it was both an end and a beginning, a farewell to the past and a celebration of a new era. Today, collectors cherish the 1958 penny as a piece of that transition. It stands as a reminder of simpler times, a copper emblem of American resilience and progress. For young collectors, it's often one of the first coins they find that connects them to history. For experienced numismatists, it's a sentimental cornerstone in their Lincoln cent sets, the bookend of an era that began nearly half a century earlier. Every time you hold a 1958 no mint mark wheat penny, you're holding a piece of history, a coin that might have passed through the hands of someone buying a newspaper, a child getting candy at a corner store, or a soldier returning home after years abroad. It's a coin that has lived, witnessed, and endured, and even though millions were made, only a small fraction survive in collectible condition today. That's what makes this penny so special. It's more than just copper, it's a living relic of America's past. So the next time you come across an old wheat penny, especially one from 1958 without a mint mark, take a closer look. Examine its color, its shine, its details. You never know. It could be a hidden gem waiting to reveal its true worth. Because in the world of numismatics, treasures are often found in the most unexpected places. And as collectors have discovered time and again, a single coin can change everything. Yes, the 1958 no mint mark Lincoln wheat penny, the last of the wheat era, struck in the great city of Philadelphia, may appear humble, but its story, beauty, and rarity make it a timeless piece in the history of American coinage.